Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today. I have Ann Voskamp, author of the big selling book, 1,000 Gifts, right here. And if you haven't heard of her, then you should, because she's blessed a lot of people with her writing and her testimony. Thank you for being here, Ann. I want to ask you because, okay, you live on a farm out in the middle of nowhere up in Canada, right?
Yes, sir. 6
kids.
Yep.
You homeschool,
yep.
which is amazing. I have 4. My wife's a school teacher, actually, and we don't even homeschool our kids. It's like, get them out of here for a while. So you do all that, and then you find time to write. How do you balance the family and the writing?
Wow, this came almost 3 years ago now, so the balance is hard. It's I call it writing on the fringe hours, the margin. It's always dark when you're writing. So it's the year of 1,000 Gifts. It was a year of not a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
So I've been hesitant to write another big book again. I got 6 kids and a limited amount of time before kids leave home. So I'm trying to balance that. I think I'm blogging every day, and that's free, and laying it on the altar and can bless and serve people wherever they are, and God can use that. So, but yes, the margin is where I write, and the rest of the day is kids and crazy.
Yeah. I can only imagine. Why do you write?
Oh, that's a very good question, Randy. I always wrote in journals as a kid, a teenager, my early 20s. When I don't write, I get really restless. Writing for me is seeing the hand of God in my life and being able to put the parts and pieces together. I see it as a handicap in lots of ways. Lots of people can live their life once and they understand what's happening. I have to go back and live it again in writing to understand and to see God moving and weaving. There's times since 1,000 Gifts has gone out into the world, I've thought about not writing anymore. My husband says when I don't write, I get restless, that I need to go ahead and write. For me, it's slowing down enough. Everything else I can try to race up and go faster. Writing is a slow process where it's just really vertical between you and God.
Yeah.
So for me, it's holy space between me and the Lord.
Is it therapeutic for you?
Deeply.
Yeah.
Deeply. Yeah. For me, it's wrestling out dark places. It's wrestling out things I don't understand. And coming before, you could go do therapy. The person I need to do business with is God. So for me, writing I don't have comments on the blog because it really was between me and God that the interaction had to happen between.
How do you share stuff with the world that's so deeply personal?
I think not having comments makes it so that I'm writing for an audience of one, not writing for.
Yeah, but everyone's reading it.
I work really hard at staying away from numbers. And 1,000 Gifts, I wrote out, my husband's not a reader. He reads very well. He reads his Bible 3 meals a day and reads the farm newspaper. But other than that, he doesn't read. But he built me a writing cabin out at the edge of the field. So I would go out there to write for 1,000 Gifts. And for me, that's a holy space between me and God. And you really forget that there's a world at all out there.
But you let people into your world.
I didn't think this was ever going to.
But aside from the mass numbers that have read it, for me, a lot of the stuff I work out with God stays between me and God, right?
And I really believe that all art is sacrifice. It's coming to an altar and laying yourself down bare and exposed and saying, this is my sin. This is where God met me and did surgery on me, and maybe it can bless and minister. Some missionary in Indonesia, some mom who's up over her eyeballs in Minnesota. If it can be our ministry back in some kind of way, but it's an exposing, humbling thing. It does make you feel go lower, not higher.
Yeah. At the same time, I got to ask you, you've sold a lot of books. You got a lot of people that want to talk to you. People asking you to come and be on the radio show and do this. And it's a level of celebrity, and I use that word loosely. How do you deal with that? Because you're not seeking the spotlight.
Oh, no, I sort of run from it. We have parameters. 6 times a year is about all I'm speaking or getting on planes. So my first calling is home and kids. I love the farm and quiet. I have to write out of a real, authentic life that God led me to. So the rest, if you can serve and help somebody, but honestly, I love small and quiet and simple.
Do you dread getting out and doing things like this?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
But when you go ahead and you tell your story of agoraphobia and struggling with fear, it's God saying, do you trust me?
Yeah.
Do you trust me to go and serve and wash the feet of people? Or are you still going to be bound by the fear? So every time it's laying yourself on the altar and say, I'm not mine, I'm yours, Lord. So I will go, obviously being very weak, and he will have to be strong and give the words.
Aside from the message that you're writing in the book that's between you and God, what message are you really wanting to convey to others by letting them into your cabin?
Letting them into my cabin is a good way of putting it. I want them to know you don't have to have a different life to meet God. It's a dare to live fully right where you are. That God can meet you when you're serving in the slums of Bangladesh. That God can meet you in Haiti. That God can meet you in the kitchen with all the kids. Yeah. That this is the holy experience, the name of the blog. It's the meeting of God wherever you are. That it's holy ground because God's doing business with you, and your service, your acts of service right where you are, it affects generations. That it matters. All the little things really matter. They have weight in this world. And I think the message is that slow yourself down enough. Life isn't an emergency, it's a gift. Slow yourself down enough to say, I'm yours, Lord. I'm seeing the gifts and the blessings. Now make me the blessing and the gift back right where I am.
You also enjoy photography.
I do.
You got a photo book out. And you've got some great work. What do you shoot with? Can I ask a technical question?
Actually, Selections from 1,000 Gifts, the gift book. It was shot with a Nikon D90.
Okay.
And now I'm shooting with, only within the last couple of months, a Nikon D800. So, but I just have one lens. I've always just had one lens, just a 50 millimeter 1.4 fixed lens.
Okay,
So nothing, no zooms or macros.
Yeah, a nice low light lens. So, yeah,
but it works for me.
And you always just love photography because you
you know
really got some
what?
pretty stuff. I mean,
When I had the year I was diagnosed with agoraphobia and was struggling so desperately with just racing inside all of the time, photography was a way to slow me down and frame the moments and look for light and glory and the beauty of God. So photography for me has been, since my early 20s, just a way of really Philippians. Whatever is good, whatever is pure, whatever is holy, look for those things. Concentrate and focus on those things. And even in the ugly, look at the ugly and see, can you frame that up? Can you subtract outside of the frame and get the right angle to see beauty even in the midst of the ugly? So for me, it's been, it's again another way of slowing down and looking for the hand of God in little things.
wow.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing.
No, but it's good.
It's fun.
And it's interesting that there's a spiritual connotation
Oh,
to it.
for me, it's looking for light. Like photography really is the art of looking for light, and for me, it's spiritual.
Awesome. Give us your blog site and your website so people can follow
You can find it by either annvoskamp.com or holyexperience.com, and usually I'm there 5 to 6 days a week, just pounding it out in the dark.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much for spending
thank
a few
you
minutes.
for grace,
I know you don't
Randy.
enjoy all this, but we enjoy talking to you and listening to you. Be sure to check out Ann when she's on Life Today. That's at lifetoday.org. And if you haven't read 1,000 Gifts, pick it up and read it. It'll bless you.
Thanks for grace.
Thank you.